When you start playing Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, you will quickly gain access to a lot of 5-star select tickets. And your first question is going to be, who do I spend these on? So today I'm going to try to answer that question and make your journey in FFBE a little bit easier. A few things to keep in mind before we start this video: you will pull a lot of 5 stars naturally over your time playing FFBE. Eventually you're going to have so many 5 stars, it won't even matter that you have 5-star select tickets, but you'll also have a ton of those too. So if you play the game long enough, you won't really have to worry about this too much. You'll get access to all of these things that we'll talk about in this video. There are two main reasons to use a 5-star select ticket. The first one is that you want to actually use the unit. Now, there are Neovison units, which is the max rarity, that are much better in most situations. However, there are some 5-star units that you might be able to use in certain parties, especially when you're a new player and you don't have access to all of these Neovison units. The second reason you might use a select ticket is to grab some useful Trust Master rewards or Super Trust Master rewards from various units. Now, you can gain these very easily by using TMR Moogles on a unit, and we get a lot of these. Some of the 5-star TMRs are actually pretty useful, but some of the STMRs or Super Trust Masters are incredibly useful, and they're ones that you will want to work towards eventually. Now, these are a little bit more complicated to obtain, but I did make a video about this called What to Do with Dupes in FFBE, where I cover that topic in detail. This video is specifically going to cover units that you might actually use in your formation in battle, but if you want to know more about which units that you can get Trust Masters from and gear from, that's something that I hope to make eventually. I know that there are some videos on YouTube specifically talking about those topics, so you can kind of YouTube search those and you'll find them. There's some existing guides on Reddit as well. You can just search that on Google or on the Reddit site and you'll be able to find some more information. One final piece of advice: the safest strategy with these select tickets and with Trust Moogles as well is to wait till you actually need the unit or you actually need the TMR or STMR to clear the content, and then you use them. Don't use it for the sake of it because you think, oh, I might need this later on, so I'm just going to grab it now, because you never know if you're going to pull the unit anyway on an off banner, and then all of a sudden you've used your ticket for nothing. So wait till you're stuck, and the only thing that can progress you is to have this unit or to have this gear. Then you go use your 5-star select tickets, your Trust Moogles, etc. Without further ado, let's talk about the important units that you can use your tickets on, starting with Avalanche Jessie. She is an effective breaker slash imperiler, and she's also an evasion provoke tank. And if you don't know what these things are, you can check out some of my other videos to see where you might use her. She's really good for budget builds. Her limit burst has a big defense and spirit break. It has an imperil for all elements, and it even has a dispel. She also has some really good limit burst fill options, including a full fill for most units within Trust. Her TMR is a staple for new players looking for evasion provoke gear, and her STMR is also very solid. And if you give her TMR and her STMR, then she has a 100% provoke and evade already, and she's good to go for your missions. Let's continue the Final Fantasy VII theme with Avalanche's Biggs and Wedge. Now, they might not be a meta magic tank, but they offer so much more than that with their kit. Like Jessie, they're going to have multiple LB fill options for your team, but their main use is going to be as an AoE tag chainer. That means they hit all of the enemies on the map and they're tag chaining, so you don't have to bring a second chainer. This is very useful to do AoE clears, and you'll see this in a lot of budget guides from various YouTubers like Sinzar. So their normal attack will tag chain, and it combos really well with the 5-star Lightning's TMR, the Aurora Scarf, which lets your normal attack hit twice, and that will increase the number of attacks. The number of the chain will increase as well. So this is a really simple but effective strategy that will it will help you condense the roles in your team, and you'll be able to clear some more content with this. Just make sure that Biggs and Wedge dual wield elemental weapons for maximum effect. Sylvie may have a busted Neovison version out now, but her 5-star form is still incredibly useful and a tremendous support that is very accessible to new players because of the 5-star select tickets. She's going to have many of the support staples that new players are looking for, and if you weren't lucky enough to pull a support unit like Sylvie NV or Ling or Bulwark or somebody else, then you could definitely use the 5-star Sylvie for certain encounters. She's got modest breaks, and more importantly, she has very decent lightning and earth imbue imbues, amplifies, and imperils. And the coolest thing about her kit is the eggs in one basket ability, which is a hallmark of budget one-turn kill strategies. So new players shouldn't hesitate to use their tickets on her unless they've already pulled the Neovison version. Elena is a 5-star that can be awakened to Neovison form, and I recommend that all new players do so. Her Brave Shift form is a great support that has tremendous supports for Clash of Wills game mode, but also other difficult content. In particular, keep an eye out for her Crystal Refragmentation ability, as it raises your party's resistances to all elements by 100%. This is often enough to cheese your way through some bosses' attacks, and that's especially useful for new players that are trying to catch up on old content. Her base form also has the ability to chain with BS, SR, and AR chaining families, making her a very versatile for chain count missions, for any sort of chaining party that you're missing that chainer in. So especially in the early days when you don't have a lot of options, she's going to be very useful for you. Mastermind Xon is a unit that you can wait to use your tickets on until you know that you need him. But he is a very versatile unit that can be used for chain count missions, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, see my Dark Visions video. His main use, however, is that he can copy different buffs from allies and then share them with the entire team. So this effect has not been as useful lately just because AoE buffs are so much more common, but whenever you do see a very powerful single target buff, keep in mind that he can copy it to your whole team if you need. Dethroned Heroine Ashe is another unit that you should wait to use your tickets on until you actually know that you need her. However, her Dusk Shard ability, often referred to as Nethicite, can cheese some mechanics of bosses, so just put her on your radar in case you see that brought up in some sort of Reddit thread on how to beat a boss. The following support units may not be necessary depending on the pulls that you have early on in your FFBE journey. I'm not necessarily even saying to use your tickets on them. However, if you just pull these units, then they may come in handy to use for imbuing and amplifying different elements to help you clear content. So specifically, we're looking at Poppy, and if we look at her skills, she'll be able to use the green color, blue color, and white color scheme, and these will add elemental damage to all of your physical attacks, but it will also increase the amount of damage that those elements deal, and she can do 3 different elements. We can also look at Conch, who can do this for dark, lightning, and water, and then finally we have Realm, who can do this for lightning and fire, but also she has some other imperils that can be very useful as well. For this next category, we'll talk about 5-star units that can be awakened to Neovison form and may be useful for you. We've already talked about Elena, so we're going to skip her, but we can look at the next 2 units, Star Player Titus and Lone Lion Squall, as LB finishers. So what does this mean? It means that they can be imbued with various elements and use their limit bursts in order to deal massive amounts of damage to bosses. So Star Player Titus is used in a bunch of different budget guides. You'll see him all over the place on YouTube. You can imbue his limit burst with whichever element you need. And like Titus, Lone Lion Squall is another neutral damage dealer. He's very much worth investing in. Next up, we have Beatrix, who is a very, very solid magic tank, especially if you don't have one yet. There's also Gilgamesh, who has a lot of utility, being able to imperil all elements, break all enemy stats, and access quite a few different chaining families. He's definitely a really good unit for starting players because he'll be able to plug a lot of the gaps in your team. Then we have Assassin Shadow, and you're mainly going to use him for his AR, SR, SR chaining, which I explained in my Dark Visions video. He's also very easy to build up as a provoke evasion tank if you don't have a candidate for that yet. Next up is Warrior of Light Bartz, who is a very solid wind support unit and also has the ability to grant a chaining ability to the entire party, and that will help you with any sort of chain count score mission. Eurasia has some very interesting killer buffs on her kit that might help you out in the short term before you pull more buffers, but she would be the lowest priority on this list for me. In general, this list would be it's in the order that I would recommend that you use. So first was Elena, then Star Player Titus, and Lone Lion Squall. So if you get those 3, you're in really good shape. Then you would go to Beatrix and Gilgamesh, Assassin Shadow, down to Warrior of Light and Eurasia. Now, if I missed any other good NVAs, I know there are quite a few, please let me know in the comments. But otherwise, if you're a new player, make sure you go into the shop section here and go into the coin exchange shop, because what we can find in here is the EX coin exchange. And you can see that I have a lot of EX coins because they're very, very easy to get. And in this shop, you can buy NVA fragments. This shop rotates and offers you different fragments at different times, but this is a very easy way to actually get the fragments for your units so that you don't have to keep on using 5-star select tickets on them. Make sure that you grab the Transcension Pearl and the Relic as well in here. That's going to be it for this guide, and I hope it was useful for you. You can let me know in the comments down below. And if you are new to FFBE and you have more questions, then you can hop on my Discord and check out our FFBE help channel where you can ask questions and experienced players will come and give you some answers. We have a community there that's starting to grow, and it's pretty cool to talk about FFBE together. I'm also going to be making future FFBE videos, but if you have a specific video that you'd like to see, feel free to comment in the comment section, and hopefully I can make that at some point. Otherwise, we'll see you all in a future video. Thank you so much for watching.